Hi to everybody, and I welcome you all to our new module on animal welfare, the pre-slaughter care of animals. In this module, we will be having two lectures. In the first lecture, I'll be talking about the animal welfare, and in the second lecture, what are the consequences the animal will suffer if you don't take care of the animal welfare, and how it will affect the product quality or the meat quality. So she is Temple Grandin, lady who had autism, and she spent the whole life for animal welfare. She had written a lot of books on animal welfare, and she also given a lot of designs for the sheds, lairage, so that the animal welfare can be taken care and how to do the animal transportation. So she has written a lot of books, and she spent the whole life for the animal welfare. Why animal welfare is important? So the animal welfare is important on two aspects. One is on the wellness of the animals, another is the product quality. So if you are not taking care of the animals, it is going to affect the quality of the product. So why animal welfare is important? Respect for the animals. As we have the right to live in this earth, the animal too have the right to live in the earth. So it is our responsibility to give respect for animals. So next is the poor welfare of the animal can lead to poor product quality. If you are not taking the welfare of the animals, it is going to affect the quality of the meat and its meat products. So any products to have a good quality, its raw material should be of good quality. So otherwise, it will be affecting the final product. Next is the risk of loss of market share for products which acquire a poor welfare image. So now the people are very much aware about the animal welfare, and the people demand the meat and meat products procured from the animal welfare certified farms and the abattoirs. So in the European countries and in America also, they are selling the meat from the animals which are animal welfare certified. So the demand for the such type of meat is also increasing in the Europe and the American market. So in India also we can expect such market in the coming future. So the animal welfare certifications will help to promote our product, or it help to compete in the world market also. So handling and moving of animals, what are the things that we have to avoid? One is the animals always prefer to be in the social groups. So isolating of the animals should be avoided. Unwanted distractions should be avoided. Always try to use slow and smooth movements of the animals. So animals always prefer to move slowly, especially when they are put into the new environment. They will just sniff, they see around, and then they move. That is the more comfortable movement that I feel. So we should not rush the animal movements, or we should not forcefully move the animals. Next is the loud noise and yelling. You must have seen the people who are handling the animals sometimes yelling at the animals. You can see the picture here also. Or they may be making sounds. So that is going to affect the mental stress of, it's going to create the mental stress for the person who is handling, plus the animals. So try to avoid the loud noise and yelling at the animals. Do not use abuse words. Do not beat the animals. Such things should be avoided. Shouting of the animals should be avoided. Next is balking. So what is balking? We will be seeing in the coming slide. So remember that animal abuse should be prevented. So next is journey from the market to abattoir, or from the farm to abattoir. What are the things that we have to take care? First is the stock density. So stock density in the vehicle, we should not overload with animals in the vehicle. So stock density should be proper. Even when the animal comes to the lairage, you should not be overloaded. Sufficient space should be provided as per the regulations. Social groups should be maintained as far as possible. Try to maintain the social groups, because when you put the animals under different social groups together, They'll start fighting. It creates an unfavorable environment for the animals. So as far as possible, try to maintain the social groups. Do not isolate the animals from the social group also. Transit time, follow the rules and regulations for the transportations of the animals. Proper transit time, rest, watering, feeding, everything should be followed during the transportation also. Waiting time, we should not allow the animals to wait in the vehicle for unloading. Do not allow the animals in the pen to wait for stunning. So in the stunning pens, the waiting time should be avoided. In the lairage also, we should not store or we should not keep the animal for more than 48 hours in the case of sheep and goats and pigs, and never more than 72 hours in the case of cattle. So waiting time in the lairage should also be optimum. Road conditions, always try to select good roads. With smooth roads you select. If the roads is having potholes, if it's having gutters, it will create jerking movements, and the animals' chance for the animals to fall down is more. So road conditions should also be taken into consideration. Truck performance, that is the designs of the truck should be comfortable for the animals. The animals should feel comfortable when they are loaded in the vehicle which is used for the transportations. We have to follow proper animal welfare during the loading and unloading, and the climatic condition during the transportation of the animal should also be taken into considerations. So these are the few things are listed when you start from the farm or from the market to the abattoir. What are the welfare things that we have to take into consideration? So coming to the flight zones. So this is called as a flight zones. So the animals will start moving only when the person enter into the flight zone. So let's understand what is flight zones and the point of balance. So this is called as a point of balance. That is a perpendicular line drawn behind the forelimbs to the top. This is the point of balance. This is the point of balance. And the animal will start moving from the 46 degree to 60 degree approximately. The imaginary degree we can see here. Only when you enter into this place, the animals will start moving. Animals will not move when you stand in front of the animals or if you stand behind the animals. This is called the blind spots. So these are called as blind spots. The animal will not move if you are standing in the blind spots. So how to move the animals is very important, so that you can move the animal easily without putting stress on the animals. So I will explain here once again. This is called as a flight zones or edge of the flight zones. This is the edge of the flight zones. So this is point of balance. So draw imaginary lines, that is 90 degree. So this area is the blind spots. So if you stand here, the animals will not move. And if you stand in this area also in front, and this area also, the animals will not move. And this 45 degree from 46 to 60 degree from this point of balance is the best place to move the animals. So you can see here A, when you enter into this flight zones, the animal will start moving, and when you go out of the flight zone, that is B, the animal will stop moving. So when you want to move the animal very gently without putting stress on the animal, just get into this area and just move forward, the animal will start moving. So you can use this principle for the easy movement of the animals. So handlers, movement patterns, what we have to take care. The people who handle the animals should know about the flight zones and the point of balance, and we have to teach them how to move the animals. So the person who are involved in moving the animals should be taught how to move the animals. The handler should work on the edge of animal flight zones that we already explained. The flight zone size depends upon the wildness or the tameness of the animals. If the animal is highly tamed, the flight zones will be much shorter. If it is wild or if it is not tamed much, then the flight zones will be larger. So if your animal is too much tamed, then if you go very close to the animal will start moving. But in the case of animals which are not tamed, then even into far places it will start moving. So the flight zones will be varying from animals to animals. A complete tame animal has no flight zones, or a small flight zones it will have and may be difficult to drive. To make the animal move forward, the antlers must be behind the point of balance at the shoulder. That's what I told you. They should stand in this area, especially in this area. They have to stand so that it helps with the easy movement of the animal. So what is balking? Balking means restricting the movement of the animal forward. So if there is something like cup or any metals or any cardboards on the way, the animals will stop moving forward. So that is we have to take care. So you have to remove such materials in the pathway. Next is abrupt change in the floor type or the floor colors can also affect the forward movements, especially in the pigs. You know, the pig sniffs and moves. So if there's any abrupt change in the color of the floor, they will stop moving forward. So that will help in the easy movement of the animals. That will not help in the easy movement of the animals. So abrupt change in the color of the floor or the surface will affect the movement of the animal. The dark areas or the shadows will also prevent the movement of the animal. So there should be well lighter and the shadows should be reduced. So you can see here the chain is hanging here, that will also restrict the movement of the animal forward. So here you can see the person is standing in the platform and the pigs is moving down in this alley, and if they see the shoes or the gum boots, the color change, then they'll stop moving. So we have to be very careful and we have to take all this into consideration for the easy movements of the animal, so that the animal will not be put under stress. So to reduce the shadows, what we can do is you can green light. So especially in the space between the lairage and the stunning pen, there's a alley. In that spaces you can give the green light. The green light reduce the shadow formations. Okay, so that you can give the green light. That's what we find even in the gardens. They use the green lights so the shadows can be reduced. Next is the sudden change on the ground. Such as the plastic strips. See, if this plastic strips or any strips is there, then their movements will be restricted. Even the drainage, even a small drain is there, the movement will be restricted. So when you're constructing the lairages or the pens or in the pens, we have to take all this into consideration when you are doing the constructions, because they cannot judge the depth of the drainage or the pit, or they cannot judge the colors easily. So even if there's small change in the colors, it will be affected, the movement will be affected. The high solid sides prevent the pigs from seeing the people along the side of the passage. So it's always advisable to give a strong high sides can be provided, so the pigs will not see the person if someone is standing here, so that movement will not be prevented, or the forward movements will not be stopped. So you have to take into consideration all these things when you are going for construction of the shed or the abattoir, lairage. What are the preloading precautions that we have to follow? The feeding prior to transportations. So many farmers ask whether they can feed the pigs before transportations, or many farmers feed the pigs so that they'll get more weight and so they will get more returns. But that is not true in the case of pigs. It is always advisable not to feed the pigs at least 4 hours before transportations, because the pigs have what you call as the motion sickness. So there's a chance for the pig to vomit, and this vomit can choke, or the vomiting contents can choke the pigs, or sometimes can get into the lungs, and it will lead to the death of the pigs. Another thing that we can do is you can give the molasses or the jaggery to the pigs. That will help to reduce the shrinkage loss, transport shrinkage loss also. So you feed the jaggery water to the pigs, so that will help to reduce the shrinkage loss, and that will also help to reduce the stress on the pigs. For other species, you can feed the pig, you can feed and water the animal before transportation. But in the case of pigs, you have to take care, because that can lead to motion sickness and it can lead to the death of the animal. So preloading precautions are there. Other things what we have to do is that, suppose in a vehicle we have to load the pigs from different pens. So at least 24 hours you do the pre-mixing of the animals. So you pre-mix the animals from the different pens into a single pen, or so that the fighting can be reduced during the transportations. So that is, we can follow, mix different groups of cattle or pigs or sheep and goat together, and at least 24 hours before loading into the vehicle, so that they will not fight. So you can follow that one. In the lairage also, you can have the provision to spray water if they have the tendency to fight. So spraying of water will also help to reduce the fighting. So what are the precautions that we have to follow, or the adapting best practices in transportation of animals? Always use the loading and the unloading ramp should be there. The floor should be non-slippery. Then see that in no case the animal is jumping more than 45 centimeters. That is, it should not jump. It should not, if there is more than 45 centimeter height from the floor or from the ground, we should use the ramp. So you should not allow the animals to jump more than 45 centimeters in no case. Handlers should move the animal quietly at a walk. So we should move the animals quietly. Do not throw the animals. The throwing of the animals into the vehicle should be prohibited. Handlers and drivers should be trained about the flight zones and point of balance should be trained. Do not overload the trucks. During hot weathers, keep the truck moving. If you stop the vehicle, what happens is that sometimes what we do is from Andhra, they will be transporting the pigs to the northeast. Okay, so such a long journey they have to travel. During the travel, they will stop the vehicle. So we have to see that as far as possible, do not stop the vehicle, because once you stop the vehicle, the air circulations will be slowed down, or that will create a stress or the heat stress on the pig, and it can lead to suffocation of the pigs. So that can lead to death of the pigs. Especially pigs are very much prone for the heat stress because they have the subcutaneous fat. You know that the fat will act as an insulator, so the dissipation of the heat will be less if they have more fat. So the pigs are very much prone for the heat stress. So you know that heat will be produced due to the metabolisms, and that heat will not dissipate easily. So there is a chance for the pigs to die because of the heat or the high stress. So during cold weather also, animal must be protected from the wind chill and frost bite. Do not stop the vehicle unnecessarily. If at all, if you want to stop the vehicle, stop it in a shady place, and if possible, sprinkle the water or flush with the water so that the animals will not be put under stress. So what are the instructions that we have to give to the drivers? So the drivers should avoid the sudden stop or rapid acceleration or sudden turning. Why they should avoid is that when you stop the vehicle suddenly, or if you turn the vehicle suddenly, the animal will lose the balance and they can fall down, or they can go and dash against the wall of the vehicle, and that can lead to the bruises. So we have to avoid that one. Selecting good roads is always advisable. After 24 hours of travels, in the case of pigs, we have to give rest. About the transportation, I will be talking that in another class in detail. So in the case of pigs, maximum you can travel for 24 hours. After 24 hours, you have to give the rest to the pigs. Then after 24 hours, you have to give the rest. Then only again you can start the journey. The floor space in the vehicle, how much floor is required? For the pigs, for the porker pigs, that is based on the weight, on the age, they require around 54 to 6, the weight of around 54 to 63 kgs. They require around 0.45 meters square. For bacon pigs, it's 0.5. For the heavy ox, it's 0.6 meters square is the space that is required. You can see the spraying of the water here that can be followed. If the during the hot climates, you can spray the water, but when you're spraying, see that you place plenty of water. Here you can see how roughly they are transporting the animals. Such things should be prohibited because it will create stress on the animals, and it is against the welfare of the animals. So we have to select the appropriate vehicles. The vehicles we select should be appropriate. So provide partitions in the vehicle so that pigs from different pens put into the different pens in the vehicle. Okay, so they will not fight. Next is the floor and the ramps should be provided with the battens so that they will not fall. It will provide a grips to the pigs and the animals so they will not fall easily. Rigid and high side walls should be provided. Protective overhead covering should be provided so that it's protected from the direct sunlight or rain or rain and the hot climate. It can be prevented. If you are using the multi-deck vehicle, then height of the vehicle should be proper. There should be provision for easy mechanical lifting of the animals. Roofing height should be a proper height, so that there is proper air circulations, and animals can move easily. Then cleaning and disinfecting of the vehicle is also important. The carcass must not be carried in live animal transporting vehicles. So never transport the meat or the carcasses in the vehicle that is used for transporting the animals. The gap between the vehicle and the ram should not be more than 6 centimeters. Overinflated tires should be avoided. Pneumatic suspension should be provided. The proper suspension should be provided in the vehicle so that the jerking movement can be reduced, so the animal will feel comfort when they are transported. Ventilators should also, there should be proper ventilation should be provided in the vehicle so that the animal will not feel the heat or the suffocations will not be there. So such type of vehicle can be used. Vehicle with the ramp, inbuilt ramps can be used, or mobile or portable ramps can be used. This is rubber ramps we can see. Poly rubber ramps, such types of ramps can also be used for unloading of the pigs and the animals. So select the appropriate road for transportations. See how crude they are transporting the pigs. You can see the pigs snouts here. This method of transportation should be avoided because you are going to put stress on the pigs. So mixing of different species of animals should be avoided when you are doing the transportations. Overcrowding should also be avoided. You can see they are mixing the pigs and the goats, and never mix the cattle and the pigs because they feel discomfort and they will start fighting with each other. If you want to do a transportation of different species together, then use the partition so that you can put the pigs in one pen, goat in another pens like. Okay. See the consequences if there is no ramp. Okay, how they are lifting, how crude method they are lifting the animal into the vehicles. Okay, so now you understood the importance of having a ramp. So never allow the animals to jump more than 45 centimeters from the ground or from the floor. So again, you can see the vehicle floor is also very important. If the floor is very smooth, it can lead to the slipping of the animals. So you can use a corrugated base floors you can use in the vehicle, or you can use the rubber sheets so that the slipping of the animals can be prevented. Once the animal falls, it will be trampled by the other animals and the animal will never able to rise, or it may lead to the death of the pigs, and it can also lead to the fracture and bruises of the pigs. So unloading of the animals, as soon as the animals reaches the abattoir, it should be unloaded as quick as possible. So unload it immediately. Don't allow the animal to stay in the vehicle because it will affect the air circulation, the stationary vehicle. There is no proper air circulations and the animal can die. So use the unloading ramps. Severely, if you find any animal is severely injured or in acute pain, do the emergency slaughter of that animal. Allow the animals to move slowly in the new environment because they always observe the surroundings and they move. Don't forcefully move the animals. Allow the animals to move slowly. So once the animal comes, what you can do is you sprinkle the water or spray the water. So what is the advantages of this is this help to calm and it helps to calm the animals, and it also brings the cooling effect. Okay, so they will also this also help to avoid the fighting. Even the meat technology units, we have used the showers. So once the pigs comes, we will just switch on the showers, so the water will be sprinkled. Okay. Another thing is it helps to reduce the fighting. The skin damage due to the fighting can also be reduced. It helps in washing out the dung and the urine that is present on their body that can be washed out by washing. But one thing you have to remember is that if the atmospheric temperature falls below 11 degrees centigrade, for example, if you go to northeast during the extreme winters conditions, or in the Jammu and Kashmir, in such conditions, never do the showering of the animals. And to what extent you can do the showering is that once the animals start shivering, you stop showering. Is it clear? So logic things you have to do. Logically, you have to follow the showering methods. So what are different stresses that can be put on to the animals is that one is grouping of the strange animals. As already we discussed, the social groups, put the animals in the same social groups. Do not mix the social groups. Even the pigs in the same even in the same pen. When you mix from the different pens, they will start fighting. So avoid such things, and do not isolate the animals from the social group as far as possible. then not giving proper food and water, that will also put stress on the animals. Overcrowding and isolation of the animals will also put stress on the animal. Extreme climatic conditions or the extreme weather or the temperature will affect the or it gives stress to the animal. Unfamiliar surroundings, again it gives stress to the animal. Noises, exposure to the diseases. So if there is any diseases, immediately do the treatment of that, and if there is any injury, take care of that animals. So these are the few things I have listed here which can give stress to the animals. So what are the consequences, how the stress goes? So there are two types of stress we can say. One is a long duration stress or a short duration or acute stress. Okay, long duration stress or acute stress, there will be release of adrenaline and cortisols in the blood, and the glycogen content of the muscles will be depleted, and glycogen content in the muscle and the liver will be depleted. So we will not able to attain the ultimate pH in the meat. So that can lead to a condition called as DFT, or sometime in the acute stress it leads to PSC, pale soft exudate, or dark firm and dry condition in the chronic stress. So this we already discussed, and it's already we have discussed such things. So that will affect the quality of the meat. At LAIRAGE, what are the stress factors? If we don't have the proper ramp, then it will give a stress to the animals. We already seen that one. Unnecessary delay in loading of the animals. So we are keeping the animals stationary in the vehicle itself, that can give a stress. If the gap between the vehicle and the edge of the between the vehicle and the ramp, if it is gap is more than 6 centimeters, then the animal has to jump. So animal find it difficult to move. That can also create the stress. Next is lack of sufficient holding space in the pen or in the vehicle can also give the stress. Mixing of different categories of animals or different social groups of the animal can also create stress to the animal. Lack of shade to protect from the bad weathers. If the LAIRAGE is not having shade or shaded areas, that can also create stress to the animals. Deprivation of water. If you are not having sufficient water to drink, that also creates stress to the animals. Attack by the predators. Delay in slaughtering. We are keeping the pigs for more than 48 hours. In the case of pigs, we should never keep more than 48 hours. In the case of cattle, we should never keep more than 72 hours in the LAIRAGE. So insufficient lighting, then holding of the horned and dehorned or the polled animals together, animal in distress or animal which are very aggressive. So we have to separate such animals and keep it separately, because they will start fighting. So such things should be avoided in the LAIRAGE. So how we can design the LAIRAGE so that stress on the pigs can be reduced or animals can be reduced. So I'll be talking more the pigs, concerned with the pigs. See long narrow pens. This types of pen is preferred for the case of pigs, with separate one end there for the entry and another end for the exit. Okay, so like that we can decide why we should go for the narrow type of pen. Is that the pigs always prefer to lie on the wall side and they feel more comfort. You must, if you have visited any farms, you can see that, or you can observe that the pigs always lie on the wall side and they feel more comfort. So if you want to have a more wall side, means go for a narrow pens. So this type of pens you can recommend, and the pigs will be entering through this, and it will go to the if it is kept in the pen for the resting period, then this gate will be open and it will be moving in this alley to the stunning pen. So this type of design will be giving more comforts for the pigs, and the people who are handling the animals or the pigs can also handle the pigs very easily. So one person can just enter and they can move the pigs very easily through this type of pens. So another thing that we have to take care is the floor. There should not be abrupt change in the color of the floors, and the floor should be rough. The animal should not slip and fall down. So such thing can be taken care, and anything that is leads to balking of the pigs should be avoided in the pathway of the animals. So this type of pen is recommended for the pigs, narrow pens. Maximum you can go up to 25 meters length we can go. This is the type of pens we can recommend for the pigs in the LAIRAGE. So this type of pens, so long narrow pens help to reduce the fight. Maximum you can go up to 25 centimeter. The space required for the pigs in a pen is 0.5 meter square per pig. So again you can see here the sharp corners should be avoided, because pigs never turns 90-degree like a human beings. So the sharp corners should be avoided. So you can go with the curved passage or the coral shape you can provide. Okay, a curved passage is ideal. The floor should be non-slippery. You can see here the ventilation system should work well, because pigs are very much prone for the heat stress, which we already discussed, because they have the subcutaneous fat, so the heat will not dissipate easily, and they are very much prone for the stress. Even in the lairage, you can give the melodious music. So if you play the melodious music, the heart rate will be reduced, and the stress on the pigs can be reduced. And also see that there is no echoes are formed. So height of the roof should be proper. Echo proof should be done in the lairage. In the European countries, they are doing such type of things. So these are coral system we can see here. The pigs, why it's called as a coral system is just like coral reefs. You know that main one branch will be there. From there it will be sub branches will be like. So it's in the same way. The pigs from the lairage, it will come through these things. It will come to the coral pen. So the pigs comes here in group. It will come here. Then it comes to this coral system. From there it goes to the single file. Okay, from this single file, only one pig can enter at a time. It will be just moving. So the person, it will be easy for the pigs to move. It can move forward. So that will help in the easy movement of the pigs. So then from through this file, the single file, they'll be entering into the stunning pen. So this is the way. So from the lairage, it goes through this coral system we can say here. From there it enter into this single file. From this file it will be entering into the stunning pen, where it will be stunned. Okay, it will be stunned. So this help in the easy movement of the pigs. So the person standing, if they want to move the pigs forward, they can just come here and they can move, or even they can stand here and they can just move it. But see that side walls are high enough, so that it will high enough so that the pigs will not see the person standing here. So it will be easy for the movement of the pigs. So pre-slaughter care in the lairage, again adequate rest should be given. At least 4 to 6 hours minimum rest we have to give in the lairage. Again, it depends upon how long your travels. The ideal is around 12 to 24 hours rest we have to give. In the case of pigs, in the case of cattle, we go up to 24 hours. 24 hours is ideal, and maximum we can go in the case of pig is 48 hours. In the case of cattle, it is 72 hours, and never keep more than 72 hours in the case of cattle, and 48 hours in the case of pig. So the ideal is 12 to 24 hours in the case of pigs. The cattle, it is around 24 hours we have to keep. So we have to give ad libitum water for drinking. Why we have to give ad libitum water is that, so it will help to flush the GI tract, so the toxins and the microbes that is present in the GI tract will be removed, so that when you do the evisceration process, if there is by chance if there is any cut on the GI tract, it will not contaminate. Next is fasting should be followed. At least 12 to 24 hours fasting should be provided in the pigs. Ideal is 24 hours fasting should be provided. So this help to make the GI tract empty. So if you do the evisceration, any cut that take place in the GI tract will not contamination. The chance of contamination can be reduced. Not only that, it is also easy for doing the eviscerations. It also help in better bleeding. That is the advantages of going for fasting. And if you are keeping the pigs for more than 24 hours, then mild feeding should be given to the pigs. If no rest is given, why we have to give rest is that this will help to restore the glycogen contents. It helps to reduce the stress on the pigs. And if we are not providing the rest to the pigs immediately after bringing the pigs to the lairage, and if you are going for immediate slaughter, what happens is we will not able to attain the desired pH or the ultimate pH in the meat. Another thing is the pigs will start migrating from the GI tract into the muscle, and it can lead to a condition called as bone taint in the case of cattle, or ham sore in the case of pigs. So such condition can be avoided if you provide proper rest to the pigs. Because if you're not providing the rest, what happens? The immunity systems will be affected, and the pigs and the microorganisms will start migrating from the GI tract into the deeper muscles. So that will affect the quality, and the keeping quality of the meat will also be affected. So you can see another problem that we also face sometimes in our lairage is the fighting of the pigs. So why they fight is the mixing of social groups or mixing of pigs from the different pens will also lead to this fighting. And why normally they fight is that to show the social dominance. When they are not provided proper rest, also they will start fighting, and the fighting is seen generally during the first 15 minutes to 1 hour. So fighting, they will be biting on this ear, neck region, they will biting. The problem is that during the fight it will give stress on the pigs. Another thing is this, you can see the skin is spoiled. So the people, when you give the meat, because in the case of pig especially, along with the skin only we are providing, so that will be affecting the aesthetic looks, and the consumer will not prefer such type of pork. So you can see the skin damage here. So they bite, especially they bite on the ears, and they'll be targeting on the face and the neck region. So how to prevent that one? Already we have discussed. We can do the showering, so that will help to reduce the fight, and less holding in the proper space should be provided in the lairage. So I'll be talking about how to avoid fighting, how to reduce the fighting. So once the pigs are arrived, what we can do is that we can scatter the corn. Maize corn can be scattered on the floor, so the pig will be attracted to eat this corns. So that is also help to reduce the fighting and the stress on the pigs also, because a study has been done and they found that this is one of the way why you can reduce the stress, how you can reduce the stress in the pigs and the fighting behavior. Another thing is the pen that has an odor of the boar in it reduce the fight. Okay, if the boar odor is present, so you can collect the urine or uremic odors when you spray in the such pens where we find more fighting, the fighting can be reduced. And see that in the pens also where the fighting is found more, reduce the number of pigs in the pen. So you can reduce to two-third only can be filled, or ideal is that you can fill only half of the capacity of that pen. So effect on the sound is also another. Pigs are very much prone for the sound thing also, because if you, even the small sounds can create stress on the pigs. Pigs are very sensitive to the new and sudden noises. Okay, even they can hear the ultrasound which the human cannot hear. So to keep the pigs calm, minimize all types of sound. Okay, so even now in the foreign countries like Europe and European countries, they are going with plastic gates instead of metal gates, because you know that closing and opening of the metal gates will create the sound. They are going with the strong hard plastics gates instead of metal gates. Okay, that can also be implemented for the from the animal welfare point of view. Prevent eye sealing to reduce the echoes and noise. So here you can see here they are using some absorbing materials, okay, so that the echoes can be reduced. So you can see the roofing is covered with some false ceilings which can absorb the sound, so the echoes can be reduced. So these are certain welfare things that we can take care. Then if you take the movements of the pigs always move from the animals generally move from the dark area to the light area. So if you want the animals to move easily and fast, what you do is you give more lightning at the stunning pen than in the alley. So you can give lightning like this. And so lightning is another important things that we have to take, because animals always, especially the pigs, prefer to move from the dark area to the light area. So we can give more lightning in the stunning pen and less lightning in the alley or in the pathway. Okay, this help in the fast movement of the pigs. So what we can do is that, and you always see when you do the lightning, the light should not fall direct into their eyes. That will also help, or that will also prevent the fast movement of the pigs. So keep the lightning in the inclined way. So if they want the pigs to move this way, what you do, incline the light so that light will not fall directly on their eyes, and more light will be here, so the pigs will be moving faster to this in this direction. Okay, so that can be followed. So moving of the pigs, the best method of moving the pig is using of the stock boards. So if you have, you can use this type of stock boards for the movements of the pigs. So this will help in the easy movement of the pigs. It is always advisable not to use the electric goads. Electric goads means, this is electric goads. which is used for movement of the animals. So there will be a small shock will be there. So when you put this on the animal body, they'll feel the small shock and the animal will move forward. But what's the problem is that sometimes the pigs will you can come across this type of using the sticks to move the pig contribute to skin damage in the hind region. So that can be avoided. So this is the stock boards you can use, or the paddles you can use, okay, or the flags you can use. So when you are using the flag paddles or the flags, see that you use the flight zones principles. You can use such type of paddles or the flags, and you can use it. See that you stand at a 60 degree 46 to 60 degree angle you stand, and then you can move it. So this helps in the easy movement of the animals also. Or you can use these stock boards for the movement of the pigs. So if you use the electric goats, what's the problem? That's what we can see here. When you use the electric goats, it will damage the skin, one thing. Another thing, it can lead sometimes blood spots can be seen. Okay, you can see the blisters. Okay, the small blood spots you can see, the capillaries may break and the blood you can see here. And sometimes we can find the pig is mounting over the other pigs in the front. Okay, so this will give a stress on the pigs, and it also leads to bruises, and it can also lead to acute stress on the pigs, so which can lead to the pale soft exudative meat. So before slaughter, what are the care we have to take? Give ample rest, that we already discussed, and no animal should be slaughtered in front of another animal. Separation should be there between the stunning pen and the lairage, so that animal can stand in queue, and they can wait for the turns before the sacrifice, and the animals will not see the other animals being slaughtered. Never sharp the knife in front of the pigs or in front of the animals. So during slaughter, what are the precautions that we have to follow? Inadequate restraining. So you have to give the restrainer should be proper restraining should be followed. Lack of proper stunning is also gives stress to the animal, so proper stunning should be followed. Delay in stunning, keeping the pigs in the stunning pen for a long duration before stunning will also give stress to the pigs. If you are not following the scientific slaughtering, again it gives stress to the pigs. Inadequate maintenance of the equipments. If your equipments is not maintained properly, if it is not working properly, it can lead to a condition called as a missed shock, where the animals will be paralyzed, but it will be in the conscious state, okay, which we'll be discussing later. And the person who is doing the stunning should be aware about how to keep the tongs, the position, how to keep the tongs, and how much voltage should be provided, what are the signs of electrical stunning. All should be known to the person who is doing the stunning. So this is the care that we have to take during the slaughtering process or in the stunning pen. So thank you very much for listening this class, and if you have any doubt, you can contact in this number, or you can mail me. So I'll be putting this in the YouTube also, you can see that. And in the next class, we'll be seeing the effect of stress or lack of animal welfare on animal and the meat quality. Thank you very much. Take care. Be safe. God bless you all.